That boy ain't right. No, but in all seriousness, Nick has a condition which is known as dominant optic atrophy. So his eyes are DOA. Nick, would you like to explain exactly what your condition is, what it physically does, and how it affects you?
Well, basically, what happens when you have a condition like this is that it causes your optic nerves to atrophy a little bit.
Atrophy.
Atrophy. And when this happens, you
Or maybe it doesn't.
get a very slow degeneration of your sight. Things start to blur. Progressively over time, it will get worse.
When did it hit you?
They suspected that I was starting to have some difficulty seeing distance in elementary school, but I really didn't have any noticeable effects until 6th grade. I think that's when they finally were able to give me a pair of glasses to wear because I couldn't see anything on the overhead projector, let alone the blackboard. I noticed that I had a lot of trouble reading black on white from a distance as well. Eventually, over the years, they did some very complicated tests involving, you know, plugging my head into a computer and measuring, my brain's reaction time to sensing light.
They had to take you to the Mayo Clinic, didn't they?
Yeah, they did some tests on me at the Mayo Clinic. They did some tests on me at Johns Hopkins. It helped that I lived in the area where both of those were,
U of
but
R has been able to do stuff too, right?
yes,
The Flom
university,
Institute.
yeah, the Flom Institute has done tests on me too. Over time, dominant optic atrophy can affect some of the rod and cone cells around where the optic nerve is, and this can affect my perception of color. One of the tests that they did on me to determine that this is what I have is they had a bunch of little wooden, they look like spindles of thread, like a spool, and each end had colors painted on them, and they were from each end of the spectrum. So there was a field of yellows, some reds, blues, greens, everything in between. And on one end they would be, oh, it's still going. Okay. So on one end would be a lighter shade, on the farthest end would be a darker shade, and they would pull them all out of the box and mix them up. So my job was for this test to arrange them back in order. And I failed it. I mean, obviously, the left end and the right end being so different, I got that right. But everything in the middle, the very similar colors, I got completely wrong. And they said this is a pretty typical of someone who has dominant optic atrophy.
And someone else in your family has this, correct?
My aunt, she has a slightly different variety of it, and I don't remember which kind. Statistically, this affects more women than men, but don't hold me to that. I could, I'm going off of what I know about this
how
from.
is it that you're allowed to drive?
It doesn't create blind spots, and that was their main concern, is can you read.
Yeah, but that's the thing with signs, though. Like,
Yeah,
you
like
can't read them.
can't read them very well, that's for sure. So every couple of years they have to tweak my prescription. But a neuro-ophthalmologist is
Even
usually
like
the
black
person to
and
go
yellow
to.
ones, so like
Yeah. I mean, obviously the ones I have the most trouble with are white on black, or black on white.
But like the electrical signs they have.
Yeah, the light up signs, those little digital ones, for some reason I have a lot of trouble with those too.
Probably because it says a lot when you're driving
Yeah,
too.
I'm trying to
I
stay
mean, be
focused
fair
on
with that.
cars, not
Yeah.
signs.
Yeah.
So they said, the doctor said, like, okay, you have a problem with similar colors, and you have a problem with contrast. Sometimes it depends on what color is on what background. Even if the colors are completely different, like black and white, for some reason, some folks who have dominant optic atrophy will have trouble reading text, black text on a white background. It's just what happens.
Yeah, so he has to get very close to like our TV screens if he's watching TV or playing Nintendo or something, and a color I see as like close to like something I'd call forest green, he sees as blue, and I don't know if that's like a cerulean blue or my in one of my art classes, we had the what's called the color biased wheel where the three primary colors, red, blue, and yellow, each one is closer to one of the secondary colors, which would be purple, green, and orange. So is it more of a orange yellow or a red yellow? You know? Like, speaking of Nintendo, I'm looking over here. Yeah, the controller, the blue one's definitely more of a green blue than purple blue, and then the red one would be see, it's neon, so now I'm kind of thrown off if that would be more yellow. No, wait. Yeah, okay, it's orange. Yeah, it's orange red, not purple red. Sorry, I apparently forgot my primary and secondary colors for a second there. But yeah, so let me talk about what my plan is for this non-scientific study today. But I'm going to try to have some controls and stability variables, all that jazz in here.